We, according to the management plan, thought that we should stop all kind of utilization of that region, such as stopping the cutting of the trees. With their help, we established a very interesting campaign to prune the trees, and some of the trees that are showing symptoms of the dieback. We hope that they will be right. I think they will be very much encouraged to protect the area if they see that their views is becoming a real one, especially when they see that people from Japan come to solve the problem, people from America, from Europe, they come and study this, of course, international phenomena that are found everywhere in the world.
Changing climate and other more recent man-made impacts are undoubtedly a part of the problem. Here, at least, rangers are planting saplings and studying the progression of dieback. But elsewhere, the cycles of life that depend on Arabia's montane forests are in danger of coming to an end. Water. Of all the elements that create life, the presence of fresh water has the greatest impact in determining the biodiversity of this largely arid land. While still relatively little is understood about Arabia's freshwater biodiversity, it is known that Arabia's mountain ranges act as rain traps, forming epicenters of life for countless organisms, from insects to mammals. Moisture contained within the clouds falls as rain in concentrated bursts, sometimes resulting in torrential flash floods, but all the time forming rock pools or adding to groundwater that seeps deep into underground springs. A large part of this water collects in wadi pools, forming aquatic habitats, some of which remain filled throughout the year, creating permanent rich ecosystems, whilst others dry up as part of a seasonal cycle of life. In this episode, we show a phenomenal and unique part of Arabia's freshwater ecology, shaped by the monsoon cycle known as the Kharif. Nowhere in Arabia is the impact of rainfall more impressive than along the subtropical mountain escarpment of southern Oman in the Dhofar. For only 4 months of the year, at the height of summer, from mid-June to mid-September, these mountains are under the influence of the southwest monsoon. During this period, coastal upwellings drag cold water up from the depths of the Indian Ocean towards the surface. This in turn produces dense fogs, which blow in over the seaward-facing escarpments, condensing on vegetation or precipitating as rain, drizzle, or lacing the landscape with a fine dew. The Kharif is an isolated phenomenon that only touches a thin 130-kilometer strip of Dhofar and Yemeni coastline, penetrating a mere 3 to 8 kilometers inshore, and is best understood by approaching it from the desert. As we approach from the vast expanse of the Nejd Desert, dark clouds hang suspended over the plateau's horizon, forming what appears to be a wall of weather. These hills are literally the landward peaks of the escarpment edge, from where the main desert plateau drops off in a series of wadis and steep sloping valleys down to the seashore. Within minutes of crossing the cloud barrier, the temperature drops from 38 degrees to 25, and you could be excused for thinking you were magically transported to rural English meadows. Amazingly, these southern slopes of the escarpment that face into the monsoon winds turn into a subtropical garden paradise, whilst only a few kilometers away, the rest of the Arabian Peninsula simmers under the full onslaught of relentless summer heat. As the monsoon begins, rain that falls on the top of the mountains pours off the sides of the escarpment, creating an incredible and rarely seen spectacle. Sometimes water travels as far as 10 to 20 kilometers from the site of rainfall, through narrow gorges or across tops of the escarpment at alarming speeds, forming highly unpredictable and devastating flash floods. Algae and macroinvertebrates are often swept away as the stream bottom is dislodged by raging floodwaters. This severe, although infrequent flooding, significantly affects the species living there, essentially eliminating most of the organisms except for the fishes and amphibians, being larger and stronger, and able to find refuge behind large rocks or in underwater crevices. Many invertebrates get carried downstream by the water, including this large scorpion that has fortunately found refuge on a rock. Her 3 young hang on tenaciously to her back. This powerful event is not as detrimental as it first appears. These flash floods wash nutrients from the upper lands into the lower pools, propagating growth in many organisms and changing the conditions within a pool environment. They also become a catalyst that stimulates survival instincts as some organisms take advantage of the nutrient-rich waters. These endemic dhofar toads have responded to the flood by mass spawning. Sensing a threat to their habitat, they spawn in instinctive response to ensure the continued proliferation of their species. Their whole cycle of life, as with many species, becomes accelerated, triggered by the deluge, and within 24 hours, all the male toads in this wadi are calling for mates. Within 2 days, egg strings lay strewn across the submerged reeds. With water levels already dropping rapidly, it is imperative that these eggs hatch quickly, and within 2 more days, the first tadpoles emerge. As the floodwaters recede within days, many tadpoles and fish are left stranded in isolated pools, or in pools destined to dry up. Of the thousands that emerged, only a few will survive to a reproductive age. many species begin to recolonize the area, and life cycles start all over again. Further downstream, the rain-drenched escarpment is a whole other world. As the wadis fill with rainwater, the mountains turn from brown to green. Many wading birds transfer their attention from coastal shorelines, attracted to the sudden abundance of freshwater fish and invertebrates populating the green valley lakes and pools of Wadi Darbat. It is hard to imagine that we are still in Arabia. The male Rupel's weaver bird is a hard worker. Not only does the male of this species build the nest, it weaves more than one in order to improve its chances of attracting a mate. The more nests a male builds, the more chances a female will select one of his, in effect choosing the male that built the selected nest as its mate. Once chosen, the female adds a few finishing touches, most of which is decorative. The grey-headed kingfisher is the biggest of the kingfisher species, spending hours patiently waiting on branches, overlooking the water before swooping down to catch fish or frogs. Another striking bird found in these wadis is the blue-cheeked bee-eater. This acrobatic flyer is highly adept at catching insects in mid-flight. A praying mantis waits in ambush for insects in the lush